How's it going, guys? TJ Bennett here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at data types. Let's start by creating a new console application. We'll go to File, New, Project, make sure Console app is selected, and let's call our app Vending Machine. Okay, let's erase all the code on the page and type out our Hello World app. Alright, and before we continue, I'll show you a neat trick. You see how it says system.console.writeLine and system.console.readKey? A great coding practice is to simplify your code and avoid repetitive code when possible. Say if we type system.console frequently, we can actually eliminate having to type system by putting a using statement at the top of the program. On the first line, type using system, semicolon. Make sure the S is capital. You'll notice that system is grayed out. It's grayed out because it's not necessary to have that code there. Since we have the using statement at the top, we can actually write just console.writeLine without having to put system in front of it. This using statement allows us to reduce how much code we have to type and provides a simpler syntax in our program. Oh, syntax? It's a term that we use to describe how our code is written. Now in our console.writeLine, we have this message hello world. This hello world is a value, and let's look at assigning that value to a variable. The first data type we'll look at is string. Together, let's type string message equals quotations hello world exclamation point in quotations semicolon. This is how you would declare a variable. You would start by declaring the data type, and then you would put the identifier for what you want to call that data. In this instance, our string identifier is message, and we're using the equal sign to assign it hello world. String values begin and end with quotations and can contain letters, numbers, and symbols. We can actually replace this hello world in WriteLine, and we can just put message. What this will do is message is a variable and it contains the value hello world. So when we run this, it'll display hello world. So in this example, we assigned message with hello world, but there's actually a way that we can assign hello world while the app is running. First, let's delete hello world and the equal sign. So all that should be there is string message semicolon. Now we can say message equals console.readLine. ReadLine is a method, and what it does is it takes user input and assigns the string value to the variable. In this instance, it assigns the value to message. It's a great practice to make sure that our program instructs the user to type a message. Above line 7, we'll do console.writeLine quotations type in a message. Now when we run this code, it'll say type in a message, and we'll say hello world, and it displays hello world below it. Because what's happening is I'm typing in hello world and it's displaying my message right below it. A neat trick you can do is you can actually link two strings together. This is called concatenation. We can use concatenation in our WriteLine message. We can use quotations, displaying message, and to link or concatenate these two strings together, you use the plus sign. Now when we run this code, it'll say type in a message, say hello world, displaying message hello world. But you'll notice something. See how message and hello world is put together right here? There should be a space. So what we can do is we can add a space after message. This is called formatting. Basically, with that change, now it says displaying message hello world, and the space is in there. The next data type we'll look at is int. Let's go ahead and erase this code here. And we can declare an int variable very similar to string. Let's type in int money equals 20, semicolon. With int variables, we can actually apply mathematics. So below int money, we can write money equals money minus 5, semicolon. And if we do console.writeLine money, and also make sure we add our console.read key, what do you think the output would be for this? Would it be 20? Let's run it. The output is 15. The reason for this is because we first assign money 20, and then we say money equals the value of money minus 5. Then we display it. You can use a string data type, but you wouldn't be able to apply mathematics as easy. You can concatenate int values to strings. For instance, I can say in my WriteLine quotations, you have space $, in quotations, and then add the plus sign to concatenate it. Now when we run this, it says you have $15. Isn't that great? The last data type we'll look at is bool. Let's type bool validate purchase equals false. It's very simple. A bool variable will either be true or false. These come in handy when checking conditions. As a bonus in this video, I'll show you a powerful tool called an if statement. The syntax will look like this. You first type if, parentheses, and then here we can write in a condition. So we can say if validate purchase equals false, then below it you use open close curly brace, and now we can say console.writeLine this purchase is invalid. Now a new operator that I introduced here is equals equals. It is different than regular equals. If it's one equal sign, it's an assignment. If it's two equal signs, it's a comparison, because it's comparing if validate purchase, and it's comparing the value to false. If we run this code with validate purchase being assigned to false, it says this purchase is invalid. Now if we change validate purchase to true, when it goes through this if statement, because it doesn't equal false, it won't write this purchase is invalid. It just comes up blank. Now there is an extension to the if statement. Below the curly brace we can put else, and then another curly brace, and we can write console.writeLine this purchase is valid. And since validate purchase is true, when it is checked in this if statement, validate purchase equals false, it won't run this purchase is valid. It'll then enter the else statement, this purchase is valid. Now let's take everything we've gone over and build a vending machine app. We'll start by erasing all the code on the screen except for console.read key. Now let's think through what variables we might need in a vending machine app. We could have a variable that references a store credit. We can do that with int store credit equals 20. And what are we going to sell? Let's have a vending machine that sells tacos, and our tacos are going to have a price. So let's do int cost of tacos equals 3, Say when a user wants to purchase something, they can order multiple tacos. So we need to have a number of how many tacos they ordered. We'll do int number of tacos. And we won't assign anything just yet. And let's put in a bool. We'll do bool valid purchase. And I'll lower this down some to give more room on the screen. Alright, so now we got some variables declared. Let's implement some user interaction. First, let's greet the customer. We'll say something like console.writeLine. Welcome to TJ's Tacos. And we'll say how much store credit the user has. You have $sign plus store credit plus quotations credit available. And then we need to ask the user how many tacos they want to buy. Now here is where we can assign number of tacos. Number of tacos equals, but what we need is a way of retrieving a number from the user. So with console.readLine, it takes in a string, but how can we try to turn that string into an int? The keyword int also contains methods as well. One of them is int parse. So we can type in int.parse and then type in the normal console.readLine. What this will do is it'll take the string and parse it into an int value. And then since it's an int value, it can go into an int variable, which will be our number of tacos. It looks like I actually forgot to add a variable. We need a variable that references the total cost of how much it'll cost for tacos. So we'll put below number of tacos, int total cost. Below number of tacos, because at this point the user will have typed in a number of how many tacos they want. We can apply math by saying total cost equals number of tacos times cost of tacos. And what this will do is it'll assign a value to total cost, and that value will be the result of number of tacos times the cost of tacos. Now we can use our if statement. If total cost is less than or equal to store credit, and then we'll put our open close curly brace. So if the total cost is less than or equal to our store credit, meaning that the cost is within the budget, now we can use our valid purchase variable, and we can say valid purchase equals true, because the total cost is within the budget. And if it's not within the budget, we can put an else statement here. Else, open close curly brace, valid purchase equals false. Now this will look a little repetitive, but we'll fix it eventually. And we can use another if statement. If valid purchase equals true, we can say console.writeLine purchase successful. Now instead of using an else statement, we can put if valid purchase exclamation point equals sign to true, console.writeLine invalid purchase. Now there's a few operators that I introduced here. There's the less than equals to, which we looked at as if the total cost is less than or equal to store credit, that we know it's within the budget. We also have equals equals, which is a comparison, saying that if valid purchase equals equals true, and basically the exclamation point equals sign is not equals to. So if we say valid purchase does not equal to true, it's basically the same as saying if validate purchase equals equals false. The result is the same. Alright, so let's run this code and see what the output is. Welcome to TJ's Tacos. You have $20 credit available. How many tacos would you like to buy? Let's buy 2. Hit enter. Purchase successful. Oop, it looks like I added an extra L to successful. Get that fixed up. A great coding practice is to simplify your code and avoid repetitive code when possible. So let's clean this up some. What we'll do is if the purchase is valid, let's just go ahead and move our purchase successful into here, and invalid purchase into here. And let's clean this up. Now one thing that our program is missing is user validation. So here, number of tacos is supposed to be a number, but we have to be prepared if people type in something other than a number, or else it's just going to crash the program. Now we need to apply some user validation, so if the user types in something other than a number, like a word, it doesn't break everything. What we'll do is let's erase line 16, where we assign number of tacos. And then let's put valid purchase equals int dot try parse, and then use console.readline. Now what this is going to do is valid purchase is a boolean, right? It's a bool. It's going to be true or false. So basically, if someone types in a number, then valid purchase is going to be true. If they type in a word or something other than a number, then it's going to return false. What int.tryparse will do is take user input and try to assign the value to an integer. Now for this to work, we have console.readline, but we also need to put comma and then out and then the name of our integer variable, which would be number of tacos. Now what this will do is int.tryparse will take the user input and then try to assign the number value to an integer, which would be our number of tacos. If it's successful, it will assign valid purchase to being true, because remember, valid purchase is a boolean. It'll be true or it'll be false. And now with this logic, we know if valid purchase is true, then they typed in a number, and if it's false, then they typed in something else. So with that logic, we can now write if valid purchase. Now this is what we could do. We can put an open curly brace, delete the second one, the closing curly brace, and then move it below the else statement. And you'll see everything will shift over. So now, if the purchase is valid, it'll now run our program like it's supposed to. But this gives us the opportunity to put an else statement here. What would happen here is if they typed in something other than a number, then it's not going to go through the valid purchase steps. What it'll do is it'll enter this else statement where we can then inform the user console.writeLine error, invalid input. Now when we run this, welcome to TJ's Tacos. You have $20 credit available. How many tacos would you like to buy? Let's say 4. Purchase successful. Now let's run it again and type in just nonsense. Error, invalid input. What really makes all this possible is this int.tryparse. Now, did I have the exact syntax memorized for int.tryparse? I didn't. I had to Google search int tryparse and adapt the results. You'll get familiar with Googling documentation because this is how everybody codes stuff. Don't ever be afraid that you're not a real programmer because you still have to look stuff up. The important thing about programming is not remembering exact words or syntax, but breaking down a problem, working through how to solve it, and fixing the inevitable bugs in a program. This video does have a challenging homework assignment. I want you to create your own vending machine app. The app should greet the user, tell them how much credit they have, display 4 items with names and prices, allow the user to select an item, validate if the selection is valid. If the selection is valid, it'll deduct the price out of the store credit. It'll tell the user transaction successful, how much credit they have left, and thank them for shopping before the program ends. Else, if the selection is not valid, tell the user error, invalid selection, and display exiting the program. In the next video, we'll cover loops. Until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.